He walked into the arena with empty hands, no blade, no shield, nothing but a torn jacket and a look on his face that made three apex predators freeze mid-step. The crowd expected a slaughter. Instead, they watched something ancient and terrifying wake up behind his eyes. And for the first time in the arena's history, the monsters were the ones who hesitated. The Thalkar Coliseum had stood for 600 years as the galaxy's premier proving ground, a place where the fiercest predator species settled disputes, earned rank, and built reputations through single combat. Fighters entered fully armored, fully armed, backed by centuries of biological weaponry, claws, spines, venom sacs, bone plating. Nobody entered that arena empty-handed. Nobody sane, anyway. So when a human named Sam Reyes stepped through the gates wearing nothing but a beat-up jacket, jeans, and boots, the entire stadium went quiet for a full 3 seconds before the laughter started. "Is this some kind of joke?" a Thalkar commentator muttered into his broadcast mic, watching the human's total lack of equipment on the arena's massive display screens. Where's his weapon? Where's his armor? Sam had been captured 6 weeks earlier during a routine border skirmish, one of a handful of human prisoners the Thalkar Empire had taken as trophies to prove their military dominance. The arena fight had been arranged as a public spectacle humiliate the captured human, prove humanity's weakness to a watching galaxy, and remind everyone exactly where Earth ranked in the cosmic pecking order. Standing across the arena floor was Kretz, a 7-foot Draconi champion undefeated in 11 official matches. Covered in natural bone armor and wielding twin blade claws sharp enough to cut through starship hull plating. "This won't even qualify as a fight," Kretz said, loud enough for the cameras to catch, flexing his claws for the crowd. "This is an execution." Sam said nothing. He rolled his shoulders, cracked his neck, and settled into a low, relaxed stance that looked almost lazy compared to Kretz's aggressive posturing. Somewhere in the command box overlooking the arena, a Thalkar strategist named Vesa Kor frowned, studying Sam's stance through a zoom lens. Something about it bothered her not the posture of a man about to lose, but the posture of a man who'd survived worse than this 100 times before and simply hadn't bothered mentioning it. "Sound the horn," the arena master announced. "Let the match begin." The crowd leaned forward, hungry for blood. Kretz charged first, blade claws flashing under the arena lights, full speed, full aggression, expecting this to end in seconds. It didn't. Kretz's first strike should have ended the fight instantly. A horizontal slash aimed to take Sam's head clean off his shoulders. Instead, Sam's simply wasn't there anymore, ducking under the blade with a tight, economical movement that looked more like muscle memory than luck. The crowd's laughter died in their throats. Kretz recovered fast, spinning into a second strike, faster this time, driven by genuine surprise rather than showmanship. Sam sidestepped again, close enough that the blade claw whistled past his ear and drove a short, brutal elbow into Kretz's exposed ribcage. A spot Sam had clocked in the first 2 seconds of the fight, where the Draconi's natural bone plating had a narrow, unarmored gap. Kretz staggered back, more shocked than hurt. "You're fast! You're loud!" Sam replied, voice calm, almost bored. Loud fighters telegraph everything. The crowd's murmurs shifted from mockery to confusion. Nobody expected the unarmed prisoner to still be standing, let alone landing clean hits on an undefeated champion. In the command box, Vesa Kor leaned forward, pulling up Sam's capture file on her tablet, scanning for any information the initial intake report might have missed. What she found made her blood run cold. Sam Reyes wasn't just a soldier caught in a border skirmish. His file, buried under standard military classification, listed 11 years of specialized close-quarters combat training, 3 tours in some of Earth's most brutal conflict zones, and a service record that included surviving situations military analysts back on Earth had classified as statistically unsurvivable. "This isn't a random prisoner," Vesa said quietly to the arena master standing beside her. "This is exactly the wrong human to have put in that arena." Down on the arena floor, Kretz attacked again, more carefully this time, respecting the human's speed. But respect didn't help him. Sam had spent the entire opening exchange studying every gap in Kretz's natural armor, every tell in his footwork, every half-second delay before each strike. By the 4th exchange, Sam wasn't dodging anymore. He was countering, landing precise strikes to soft points between Kretz's bone plating that made the massive Draconi champion grunt in genuine pain for the first time in his career. "How?" Kretz gasped, backing away. "Are you still standing?" Sam rolled his shoulders again, that same tired, dangerous calm never leaving his expression. Because back home, he said, we don't need armor to survive. We just need a reason. By the 10th minute of the fight, something had shifted in the arena that no one in 600 years of Thalkar Coliseum history had ever witnessed. Kretz, the undefeated Draconi champion, was bleeding from 3 separate strikes, breathing hard, visibly rattled a Euros, not by pain alone, but by the growing realization that his opponent hadn't even broken a sweat. "End this," Krez's trainer shouted from the sidelines, panic creeping into his voice. "Use the killing strike." Now, Krez obeyed, launching into his signature finishing move a Euros, a spinning strike that had ended every previous match in his career within seconds of deployment. Blade claws aimed to bypass any possible defense. Sam had been waiting for exactly that move since the opening exchange. He stepped inside the spin instead of away from it, closing distance rather than creating it, a move so counterintuitive that Kretz's trained instincts had no answer for it. Sam's forearm caught Kretz's striking arm mid-motion, redirected the momentum, and used the Draconi's own considerable weight against him, driving him hard into the arena floor, with a controlled throw that silenced the entire stadium. Kretz hit the ground and didn't get back up immediately, stunned, staring up at the arena lights while his own trainer stood frozen at the sidelines. Sam stood over him, chest heaving slightly now. The first sign of real effort he'd shown the entire match. But instead of finishing the fight with violence, he simply stepped back, hands open, and looked toward the arena master's box. "He's done," Sam said, voice carrying clearly across the silent stadium. "No need to take it further." The arena master, stunned into uncharacteristic hesitation, finally called the match. Kretz's first official loss in 11 fights, delivered by an unarmored prisoner who hadn't even needed to draw blood to finish it. In the stands, 3 other Predator champions scheduled for later matches that same day exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, a Chrysalis fighter named Ashek, who'd been loudly confident about facing Sam next, suddenly found himself reconsidering his entire pre-match strategy. Vesa Kor watched from the command box, tablet still open to Sam's service record, and murmured something that would end up quoted across galactic military circles for years afterward. "We didn't capture a prisoner," she said quietly. "We captured a warning." The Thalkar Empire's plan to humiliate humanity in front of a watching galaxy had backfired spectacularly, and every commanding officer in the arena's command structure knew it within the hour. Footage of the match Euro, an unarmored human defeating an undefeated Draconi champion through pure skill, patience, and discipline of Euros, had already spread across every galactic broadcast network before the Coliseum's crowd had even finished filing out. Arena officials scrambled to arrange a hasty press statement, calling the result an isolated anomaly. But the damage to Thalkar credibility had already been done. Other predator species who'd spent generations viewing humanity as an easy target for conquest suddenly found themselves re-evaluating decades of military assumptions. Sam Reyes was returned to the prisoner holding block that evening, quiet and unassuming as ever, seemingly unbothered by the historic significance of what he'd just accomplished. A young Thalkar guard, tasked with escorting him back to his cell, finally worked up the nerve to ask the question every soldier in the facility was whispering about. "Why didn't you use a weapon?" the guard asked. "You could have requested one. Regulations allow it." Sam considered the question for a moment, settling onto the thin cot in his cell before answering. "Where I'm from, the deadliest animal on the planet doesn't always have the biggest teeth or the sharpest claws. Sometimes it's the one that never stops adapting, never stops learning, and never quits even when the fight looks impossible. Weapons break, armor cracks. That doesn't." The guard left without another word, unable to shake the feeling that he'd just been given a warning disguised as a simple answer. Word of Sam's match spread through Thalkar military channels for months afterward, eventually reaching the highest levels of Empire Command, where it prompted a quiet but significant shift in policy Euro. Future engagements with human forces would no longer be treated as low-priority skirmishes, but as encounters requiring the same caution reserved for the galaxy's most dangerous apex species. Sam Reyes was eventually returned to Earth as part of a prisoner exchange. Months later, his name never officially recorded in Thalkar arena history, his match quietly scrubbed from public archives. But those who'd been in that stadium that day never forgot what they witnessed, and the lesson spread anyway, whispered from crew to crew across a dozen star systems. No armor, no weapons. just a human who refused to fall. And in every corner of the galaxy where predators once mocked humanity's lack of natural weapons, that single arena match became the quiet, permanent reason every predator learned to take one careful step back.